One thing you might want to do is make an object react to a click by bouncing or kind of flying in a particular direction. So let's look at the volleyball here and let's go into the code. And so I have a preset on-click function here with the startBounce method that is being applied to the volleyball. And the preview will kind of show you what startBounce does. And so when I click on the volleyball here, you can see that it kind of gets bigger and smaller. And while that's a really cool feature for visual effect, it isn't really kind of the bounce per se that most of us are likely thinking about. And so if we wanted to actually make the ball kind of go up in the air or in a different direction, we're actually not going to use startBounce. We're going to use applyForce. And applyForce essentially says we're going to put a particular amount of force on each of the three axes. So the X, the Y, and the Z. And so just for demonstration purposes, whenever we click it, let's just make it go up in the air. And so we'll say 0 on the X axis, we'll do 100 on the Y axis, and 0 on the Z axis. And so this should essentially allow our object to just go vertical whenever we click on it. And so now we have that set. We're in preview. When I click on the ball, you can see that the ball goes up and it comes back down. We can also see that if we were to add maybe some X force in the X axis, when we preview it, it will then kind of bounce in a different direction. And since we have the physics set to non-kinematic or just anything that's not kinematic, it will react effectively. And what I mean by that is you can set the physics type. And we have a couple options here. Kinematic means that physics does not affect this at all. So no gravity, no collisions, no nothing. And if you select this and then try to apply force, your item will not react at all. Pass-through and trigger are specifically focused on collisions. So something else you might want to consider is tumbly or upright. Upright means that your object will always be upright, and tumbly means that your object will just kind of tumble as it sees fit. So if we select tumbly here as well, and we click on preview, and then I click on the ball, we can see that whenever it interacts with other items, it will kind of tumble as opposed to just staying upright. If we make this upright, and then we'll run the preview again, and you can see that the ball kind of just always stays upright and doesn't really tumble. So that's not really authentic physics, but it really depends on what you are looking for out of the experience. And so this is two very simple methods that can be applied to items, but can also create a significant amount of kind of fun items in your room. I've seen this utilized with kind of clicking on a basketball in order to try to shoot it into a hoop, or other interactions in order to make kind of the impression of explosions or just mayhem or something along those lines. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with this.